That's what they have done in other games, but they've just got so many options, and we know the first goal was a fortuitous goal, but it could be a set play. We're getting used to that type of performance with the qualities that they've got.
This one's gone down as a Chris Wood own goal.
Yeah, I'm guessing the dubious goals committee have done that because the cross is not on target. Therefore, if the shot's deflected back on target from a defender, Chris Wood in this case, then it would have to go down as his goal. I get that. But the one thing you can't do when you play a top team is give the ball away there when you're stretched. Because they're top players because they make the right decisions. Firmino makes the right decision. He delays and delays his pass until he's ready. He's waiting. Could have gone right, could have gone left, went to Mane. The rest was formality. Good goal.
No, fabulous goal, and as we spoke about, when you've got opposite foot players playing coming in field, if it's the correct type of ball, correct weight, then it opens that real opportunity for them. But once the game starts to open up like here, then this is when they're at their best.
Do you think Salah's looking to pass to Firmino? I don't.
No, neither do I. But I think what they have got at the moment, they've got such good movement. And when this ball falls, then when you've got that type of quality edge of the box, and probably most occasions at a lot of teams, and that's not a goal. But
do you know what I liked about that, Chris? I liked about that. I think a normal, let's say an average player, when say Firmino passed that ball, was on the halfway line, right? Now you give it to somebody like Salah. A normal player, just an ordinary good player, would have probably played that ball and gone. Well, I think Roberto Firmino had equally amount of cause to say to Mo Salah, Mo, you could have fed me in about 10 minutes earlier. You could have done the same. He didn't. Listen, Salah wants to score. There's absolutely no doubt about that. And but there's like Firmino for me encapsulates what everyone you should be about a player. He'll take a chance to score, but he'll also happily play his mates in. I think the other two desperately want to score goals.
We've had this conversation here with both Andrew Cole and Dwight York. Each have said more than happy to pass to the other in the same situation. I think they're probably the best example of that, aren't they? I think it was York who said, because I knew that if I did this week, he'd be playing me in next. And there was never a doubt, was there, that one or the other would do so?
There was never a doubt with these three, I don't think. I think the only time this becomes, it could become an issue, I'm not saying it would ever become it, but the only time it could be is if you're in a really tight game against one of the big boys and it's 0-0 or you're getting beat 1-0 and you're a game you might be struggling in, and that happens, and you don't choose the right. I said about Firmino when he laid in Mane, it was the right option at the right time. If you don't pick that option and say it breaks down and Salah's there, Mane's there and Firmino's there and Salah doesn't play them in, and they drop 2 points or they drop 3 points, then it might become an issue, but I don't think Klopp would ever let it become so.
And I think he's a good enough manager. He has a good enough relationship with these players that if he sensed anything like that, I think he would be right on top of it. But wonderful competition that they've got at the moment, and you would certainly rather that and the things that we're talking about now than you don't have that. So.
And what Liverpool have got is a 100% record. They are top going into the international, nor Real Madrid quite the force that they once were. Does that once again open the door, do you think, for more English dominance this year in the two competitions?
Yes, I think it does. If I'm certainly looking at the levels, if I'm looking at Man City, of course, and Liverpool, who have started very, very strong. Tottenham feeling their way a little bit, I suppose. But if I look at the confidence that I think the English clubs would have got from last season, and probably some of the big boys, as we spoke about, not playing at the levels and going through little sort of transitional periods as well, then it does. But to replicate what was able to do last season, I think will be very hard.
How do you find Guardiola?
There's no doubt that his abilities and the work rate and the thought processes that he has going into every game, I think are there to see. You know, he's a manager that's used to winning games. He's in good form most of the time because he's winning most of the time. But I think there comes a real pressure of keeping them to them levels, and I think that's why he works as hard as what he does. And I think the players that he have
on you and others like you every bit as intense, bearing in mind you're not working with the same tools that they've got in their box.
I think the pressure from ourselves is exactly the same. I think the difference with the top teams, and in particular I think now with Liverpool and Man City, it's almost, you know, global. And if I'm looking at the pressure that they put on themselves, the pressure that the game sees from these two clubs to maintain that level of standards, I think it's greater than what we all go through. Within ourselves, yes, of course, there is that type of pressure, you know, with every manager, whether you are, you know, top of the league or bottom of the league. But I just think that with what we have, media, 24-hour football games, the pressure, I just think it's increased even more so.
And what is the difference between being coach, as you once were, and manager, as we like to describe the man in charge in the English game? There are few, if any, you're one of them, an exception, that have given up one role to take on the other and not made a success of it. But you have. What's the difference, and how have you managed to do that?
Well, huge difference. I think it's about responsibility. I mean, I think for me it was the right pathway. I coached for a long time, and I done a long apprenticeship, which I think put me in a good position, I think, to manage. But I think that the huge difference is just the pressure levels. You know, you could almost think as a coach, as a first team coach, you sleep better.
You can switch off.
You can switch off. You can do other things. You can sleep better. I think when and particularly in the modern game where the turnover of managers is so quick, the relationships I think that managers are having with, you know, boards and chairmen can be so sort of volatile, and so because of the pressures of it, that becomes, I think, the huge difference. That it becomes 7 days a week, becomes a constant, and you're always looking for them moments when you can switch off. The pluses and the reasons why we always do it is for the good moments, and the good moments are winning games. Spoke earlier about the difference between you win on a Saturday and you lose on a Saturday. You know, you could almost lose 2 days. You know, if you've lost on a Saturday, you know, your Sunday.
Buendia. Grant Hanley been injured
last season. You know, they are the moments that you look for. They are what I would regard as the fun moments. Players that hadn't played in the Premier League, that desperately wanted to become Premier League players, and are now into their third season in Premier League play. They're the fun, you know, moments that you have. They're the moments that you can get, and it's why we do it.
Why are there not? And I'm sorry, I don't. You're a standard bearer on this subject, so let me ask you. I hope it's not a subject that you're tired of. Why are there not more black coaches in the game in general, not just the Premier League? And do you find yourself as like I said, a standard bearer on this subject, that you're a go-to man?
Yes, I do, because the stats speak for themselves, and it's certainly a mantle that I'm very happy and comfortable to take on, and it's a big subject, and you know, in some ways to simplify it, and I think it was Chris Ramsey that a member spoke about it, that he felt that we lost a generation of potential good coaches and managers. You know,
how did we do that?
Well, I go back to my earlier years of playing, where certainly racism was in certainly different forms to what it is now. And if I think about the perception in the game of black players were quick, physical, good centre halves, but not really captain material, not really coaching material. And I think during that generation, some of what we would have liked to have thought is the game would have liked to have thought individuals that might have made good coaches and good managers steered away from that, and that's affected, I think, the next generation of black and ethnic players coming through, that the pathways weren't really there. My pathway's been a little bit different, but I speak to, and have done in the past, lots of potential black coaches and managers that felt that pathway was too difficult for them, that there wasn't that pathway for them.
Well, so, there were obstacles placed in the way, or that they weren't encouraged, and there is a difference between the two, isn't there?
Well, no, I think both. I think they wasn't encouraged, and if I look at what we have at the moment, certainly in the FL, of a form of the Rooney Rule, which means that each club must at least have a
well, you like that?
I am in agreement of it in a form,
right? Because
I think there are two ways to look at it. One is that well, as a black and ethnic coach, you don't really want to get a job just because of your colour. But what I think a form of the Rooney Rule does is that it at least gives an opportunity for a black and ethnic applicant to go through an interview process. Now, some might just use that as a quota.
Well, you say that. I actually blogged on this subject recently, and it is something that Andy and I have talked about for the best part of 8 years, Andy, since we were on the radio. Yeah. We talked to one of the initiators of the original Rooney Rule. Now, the EFL have said we'll have an 18-month trial period. That's all it is, isn't it? Trial. There's nothing specific here on their part, but there were 17 changes of manager through the Championship and Leagues 1 and 2 in the summer. I'd like to know, not individuals, I'd like to know the numbers. How many black and ethnic coaches were actually interviewed, or are we just paying this lip service? Would that help?
Yes, I think it would help. We are we're in a position at the moment where I generally feel that there is, and I've spoke about this before, that there is an enthusiasm